I usually end my show in happiness is not getting what you want, but wanting what you have. Today I want to talk about that particular statement. Happiness is not getting what you want, but wanting what you have. Basically, happiness is being content. That's what it's saying. Now watch this story in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 1 through 4. It reads, "The Lord sent Nathan to David. When he came to him, he said, there were two men in a certain town, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except for one little ewe lamb he had bought. He raised it. It grew up with him and his children. It shared his food. It drank from his cup and even slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man, refraining from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had come to him, instead he took an ewe lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for the one who had come to him." Now, in this lesson, if you really sit back and think about it, because this lesson is about David and Bathsheba, but we're not going to get into that portion in today. I want you to see something a little different here. In this lesson, what I see is that the poor man, what it says, he had the lamb, he raised it, it grew up with him and his children, he shared his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his arms. He was happy with what he had. He had a lifestyle that he was pretty content with. And this is a parable. I'm just drawing some conclusions out of this, right? He was pretty happy with. He was taking care of his own self. He was doing his own thing. He was content in where he was. Then you had the rich guy that had all kinds of stuff. Had sheep and cattle, two types, right? If he bumped one of them off, wasn't a big deal because he got a ton more. Whereas the poor man only had one sheep. That's it. He had one sheep that he dealt with. And he loved that sheep, right? He was content. He was happy. He was good. But for some reason, this rich guy, when the traveler came, had to go take that sheep from the poor guy and slaughter it to feed it to the traveler. That is a good example of not considering one another. You got enough. It's people out here that make a lot of money, and yet they have no problems trying to get more. Why? Because they're not happy with what they have. And then you got people like this poor man that they go out and they make a living. And keep in mind, nowhere in here does it say this poor man was begging or pleading from people or trying to get them. He was pretty, from what I'm understanding, he was pretty self-sufficient. The bottom line was the rich man, he was keeping that number. I need to keep that number higher. It's more important for that number to keep going up and getting higher and higher and higher than it is for me to do the right thing. The poor man just wanted to take care of his family. He just wanted to show love for everything that was in his household, for his family, his household, and the lamb. But yet this rich man, did he not sacrifice his cattle and sheep because he loved them? No, he didn't sacrifice his cattle and sheep because he wanted more. Remember, the statement is happiness is not getting what you want. That rich man is never going to be content because because happiness isn't getting what you want. The poor man is showing you happiness. Happiness is wanting what you have. That is the problem with our society. Some folks is focused on what they can get. When I get that, I'll be happy. When I do this, I'll be happy. I'm here to tell you, happiness comes from you first. You have to be happy with what God has blessed you with. I am very guilty of going, squirrel, what's the next thing I need to be happy about? What's the next thing I need to get? I'm not saying that you're not supposed to want better and do better. That is not what I'm saying. So don't take this from that. But what I'm saying is your happiness shouldn't hinge on what you want. Your happiness should hinge on what's around you, your family, your friends, your life, your home, the things that you have been blessed with, the things that you have control over. Man, you know what? It is a blessing to wake up and see your children, see your parents, see your friends, have a circle of friends, right? Your church family. That's real happiness. Knowing that God has blessed you with so much. Man, I ain't got $1 million. I'll be the first to admit that. But you know what? I have everything that I need because God has blessed me with that. And I'm happy. And a lot of folks in this world, they hinge their happiness on how many people they can devour. Keep in mind, you got folks that will lay off a whole town that works for a certain company just so they can make the profit margins go up so they can move that work somewhere else so they can make more money. And at the end of the day, that more money wasn't going to make them not buy a Rolls Royce or get a new house or get the pool fixed. All this stuff was running and good. It just was going to stack up more in the bank. Some people, they're wired like that. They're wiring like, hey, I got to get as much as I can get, and I don't care what the consequences are. That's what's going on in this parable here. Frankly speaking, I wasn't going to bring this up, but that's what David was. David was like, Bathsheba, she's somebody else's wife, but I don't care. I want her, and me wanting her is more important than anything else. That is not considering others. And you know what? Sometimes things that we think we want, we don't really. Once we get them, we figure out, man, I really didn't want that. So in closing, happiness is not getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you have. I am blessed and I am good. Until next time, take care. Peace.